Today's presentation is going to look at cultured meat, exploring both the science behind it and the ethical questions it raises. So, what exactly is cultured meat? By definition, cultured meat is a real animal meat that is grown by culturing animal cells in a controller bioreactor without the need to raise or slaughter a live animal. This is very different from how meat is conventionally produced. Conventional meat comes from raising and slaughtering livestock, the traditional method most people are familiar with. Cultured meat, on the other hand, is produced from a small cell sample that is multiplied in a lab, essentially growing meat outside of animal's body. This topic is gaining a lot of global interest right now. Rising food demand, land and resource constraints, and growing food security concerns are all pushing cultured meat into the global spotlight as a possible solution for the future of food production. With that context in mind, this presentation has three main objectives. First, to explain the science behind the cultured meat. Second, to examine it through an Islamic or halal lens. And third, to discuss the surrounding ethical consideration. To achieve that, the discussion will be broken down into four parts, which is the production process and scientific background, the current relevance of cultured meat in today's world, the Islamic perspective covering halal and toyib principles, and finally, the ethical considerations surrounding this technology.
Production of cultured meat begins with cell collection, where a harmless tissue sample is painlessly extracted from a living animal. These cells are then placed into a nutrient media, which is a specialized liquid soup filled with amino acids and vitamins that perfectly mimics the animal's natural bloodstream. Next, during cell multiplication, these cells are transferred into a highly controlled vessel called a bioreactor, where they rapidly divide into billions of identical cells. To guide the formation of muscle tissue, these cells are grown on a plant-based structure called a scaffold, which helps them form long fibers until we achieve the final genetically identical cultured meat product. This process offers massive environmental advantages, requiring less land, less water, and producing significantly lower greenhouse gas emissions than traditional farming. Crucially for us as Muslims, it leads to reduced animal slaughter. This deeply aligns with the Islamic principle of ihsan, showing mercy and compassion to Allah's creation by reducing the harsh demands of mass factory farming and honoring animal dignity. However, we still face steep challenges, including high production costs, scale-up difficulties in factories, consumer acceptance hurdles, and complex regulatory and halal certification issues that must be resolved. In conclusion, while cultured meat presents a highly sustainable and ethical path forward, overcoming these technical and economically barriers will ultimately determine its future on our plates.
I will be presenting the current relevance of cultured meat and why it has become an important innovation in the food industry. Today, the world's population continues to grow, increasing the demand for meat. However, conventional livestock farming requires large amount of land, water, and feed, making it difficult to meet future food demand sustainably. Cultured meat offers a potential solution to improve food security because it can be produced in a controlled environment. This means production is less affected by climate change, disease outbreaks, or limited agricultural land. In addition, cultured meat supports sustainable agriculture by reducing the use of natural resources. Studies suggest that it has the potential to lower greenhouse gas emissions, use less land and water, and reduce the need for large-scale animal farming. Since only a small sample of animal cells is required, it may also improve animal welfare by reducing animal slaughter. Several companies are leading the development of cultured meat, including Upside Foods, Mosa Meat, and Good Meat. In terms of global progress, Singapore became the first country to approve the commercial sale of cultured meat in 2020. More recently, the United States has also approved selected cultured meat products, showing that this technology is gaining international recognition. Overall, cultured meat represents a promising approach to producing meat more sustainably while helping to address future food security and environmental challenges. However, continued research, regulation, and consumer acceptance remain important for its widespread adoption.
I will be guiding you through how Islamic jurisprudence or fiqh evaluates cellular agriculture. To understand this modern science through an Islamic lens, we must first look at the foundational concept of halal, meaning permissible, and tayyib, which mean pure, wholesome, and nutritious. Islam doesn't merely look at whether a food is legally allowed. It demands that what we consume is ethically and physically wholesome for our bodies. This brings us to two core legal maxims that strongly support the case for cultivated meat. The first is La darar wa la dirar, an Islamic principle stating that harm must neither be inflicted or reciprocated. When we look at the industrial farming of today, with its heavy use of antibiotics and intensive resources consumption, cellular agriculture offers a path to actively reduce systemic harm. Furthermore, the Quran established humanity as Khalifa or stewards of the earth. Protecting our environment from degradation isn't just a modern ecological trend, it is a sacred religious duty. Therefore, addressing food security via biotechnology aligns directly with Maslahah Mursalah, the pursuit of the public interest. How does this theoretical framework translate into actual law? Contemporary Islamic scholars have established three strict criteria to deem culture meat permissible. First, the source material. The initial stem cells must be harvested from an animal that is halal to consume, such as cattle or poultry, and that animal must be slaughtered in accordance with Islamic law. Cells derived from swine are strictly prohibited. Second, the culture medium. The nutrient solution inside a bioreactor must be entirely pure. Traditional biomedical research often use fetal bovine serum, which is najah in Islamic law. For commercial culture meat to be halal, researchers must use synthetic, plant-based, or fully halal certified mediums. And third, safety and integrity. The final product must be entirely safe for human health, causing no genetic or toxicological harm. This isn't just theoretical speculation. We are seeing a historic rapid consensus forming among the world's leading Islamic bodies. Notably, the International Islamic Fiqh Academic (IFA) issued a major resolution confirming the permissibility of cultivated meat, provided these strict criteria are met. Furthermore, regulatory benchmarks like Malaysia's JAKIM have begun establishing rigorous halal framework guidelines for cell-based proteins. In conclusion, when scientific innovation meets strictly ethical boundaries, Islamic law doesn't stand in the way of progress. Instead, it provides a robust framework to ensure that the future of food is sustainable, ethical, and fundamentally
I will continue
halal.
with the ethical consideration of cultured meat. So, cultured meat offers several ethical benefits. Firstly, it improves animal welfare because only a small number of animal cells are needed, reducing the need to slaughter animals. Secondly, it may have a lower environmental impact by using less land and water while producing fewer greenhouse gas emissions than conventional livestock farming. Another benefit is the reduced use of antibiotics, as cultured meat is produced in a controlled environment. It may also help improve food security by providing an alternative source of protein for the growing global population. However, there are also ethical concerns. Some people believe cultured meat is playing God because it is produced using advanced biotechnology rather than traditional farming methods. There are also questions about its long-term health effect as more research is still needed. In addition, the high production cost makes cultured meat expensive and many consumers are still uncertain about accepting it. It may also affect the livelihoods of livestock farmers if demand for conventional meat decreases. Therefore, cultured meat has the potential to improve animal welfare, environmental sustainability, and food security. However, ethical concerns regarding health, cost, consumer acceptance, and its impact on traditional farming must be carefully addressed before it becomes widely available.
In conclusion, cultured meat represents a significant advancement in biotechnology and provides an innovative alternative to conventional meat production. It has the potential to address global challenges such as food security, environmental sustainability, climate change, and animal welfare. However, despite its promising advantages, cultured meat still faces several challenges, including high production costs, limited consumer acceptance, and the need for clear regulation frameworks. From an Islamic perspective, cultured meat is not automatically considered halal. Its permissibility depends on the factors such as the source of animal cells, the method of production, and whether all ingredients used comply with halal principles. Therefore, cultured meat should always be evaluated from a scientific, ethical, and Islamic perspective before it can be widely accepted by society. Looking ahead, Further scientific research is needed to improve production efficiency, reduce manufacturing costs, and ensure the long-term safety of cultured meat. At the same time, government and regulatory agencies should develop clear guidelines to regulate its production and commercialization. Collaboration with scientists, policymakers, the food industry, and Islamic authorities is also essential to ensure cultured meat meets scientific standards, ethical expectations, and halal requirements. Finally, increasing public awareness and education will help consumers make informed decisions and build greater trust in this emerging food technology. That's all from us. Thank you.